In a free market economy, market participants know what is best for them. They are rational people. They know what they are doing. And therefore, there is no need for government to interfere or intervene. And secondly, government does not have all the information. And if they intervene without proper information, that is going to create a suboptimal solution, not the best solution. The best outcome is only possible if people are left to themselves. These two logics is what is given by the free market economist. But how much true they are, how much water they do really hold, we need to look into this more critically. So let us come straight to the first point. The logic that they give, that people are rational, is that really true? Time and again, many behavioral economists have proven that people are actually not rational. They are emotional. They are biased. Most of the decision that they take is influenced by their biases. They are rational only in a limited context, what they call bounded rationality. Our world, the real world, has so much options and choices for us that if we try to evaluate each one of them, and each of these options or choices comes with uncertainty. So there's no way we would be able to make a rational decision in a limited time frame. It will take us ages to make the best decision. And therefore what we do as a human being, we make some rule of thumb, some heuristic decisions where we limit our choices. We put a framework, what is allowed and what is not allowed. And then we decide within that rational boundary which is the best decision for us. So even left to ourselves, we actually do not use all possible combinations and permutations of decision. Take, for example, the game of chess. In a game of chess, there are 64 squares. And do you know how many possible moves are there? It's 10 to the power 120 zeros. That is like trillions and trillions and trillions of choices. But even the best of the best chess player, they do not analyze all those trillions of choices available to them. They have their own rule of thumb, and within those limits, they decide which is the best move. Knowing very well that some of the moves that they are not contemplating may be the best move, but still, to reduce the time and energy spent on deciding them, they come up with their own bounded rationality. Likewise, in real life, we ourselves put a limit to all the options that we have got to make our own life easier. And even within that bounded rationality, most of the time we are not rational. I'll give you two examples. There was a company called LTCM, Long-Term Capital Management. In 1998, that company filed for bankruptcy. There are two members on its board who were Nobel laureates. They were the wizard in the area of finance, Merton and Scholes. They had devised a formula to find out the value of derivatives. And for inventing that formula, they got Nobel Prize. And for inventing that formula, they got Nobel Prize in the area of economics. And they were on the board of LTCM. And they were actively helping in managing the portfolio of derivatives. Now you would think that with such great, brilliant mind, the company would do very well. But the company actually filed for bankruptcy in spite of the best mind available to them at the time. And these two people, after the failure of LTCM, they started another company. And that company also failed again. Now, why did this company fail? They thought that they were rational, but they were not. They thought that they knew what they were doing, but actually they were not. Take another example, the 2008 financial crisis, the financial meltdown, which involved the big banks, the insurance companies. They all came up with very fancy, innovative financial products, such as mortgage-backed securities, credit default swaps, and they thought that they knew their product. They thought that what they're doing, they understand it very well. They understand the consequences of this product on the overall economy. But actually, they did not. And ultimately, what they had created caused a massive financial breakdown in the system. And who came to the rescue at that point? The government, the taxpayer. That financial crisis was a result primarily because these financial products were created in a market which lacked proper regulation for these products. It was a market failure and also the government failure to regulate these institutions and these products. The second argument that the free market economist gave is that the government does not have all the information that they need to regulate. They do not have the technical skills. Now, does the government really need all the technical skills and all the information? What the government is actually doing is regulating the market, and by regulating, what they're essentially trying to do is to limit the choices, to limit the freedom of anything that the company can do. They're putting a broad boundary on what the companies can and cannot do, what the consumer can and cannot do. They're limiting the choices, and therefore they're helping us, helping the market to make better decisions within a bounded rationality. That is what all this regulation is meant to be. And for that, government does not need to have all the information. It can hire people from those industries or from the financial market or from whichever sector it is trying to regulate. Its own bureaucrats does not need to have everything that they need to know to decide or to put in place the right framework. It can just get the right set of people from the industries and put the best framework that is possible to regulate the market. So my point is very simple. People or the participants are not rational, and the government does not need to have all the information to intervene in the market. Now, the question probably where I agree with free market economists is how much regulation is required. Obviously, I do not believe in extremes. So I do not believe that there should be no regulations, and at the same time I also believe that the government should try to minimize its interference. But there has to be some level of interference, some level of intervention. Not too much, not too little. There has to be a sweet spot of regulation, and that every country, every economy has to decide for itself what is that sweet level of government intervention. But government intervention is required, primarily because we are irrational people. So that's my take on a free market intervention by government. And I understand whatever I've said, you may not agree with it. And that's why I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments box below. Thank you very much.